Hey everyone, Ben here with a nosebleed because I'm not used to starting races on the front row in the Super Formula. Now this week we're running a special livery to celebrate Russell Bright, an iRacing YouTuber that I really enjoy watching. His channel Xtrick Racing is linked in the description. Check it out for daily iRacing content. For now though, I'm focused on how we're going to get on in this race where I've got a genuine chance of fighting for the win. So we're starting in P2 on the inside. That will maybe give me an opportunity into T1, providing I can get the car off the line in good shape. We're gone green. Let's find out if we can do it. Look off to the left hand side and Shillings, the pole position man, is already into the barriers. Disaster for him. But we now lead a race for the first time this season, the first time ever in the Super Formula as we snake our way through this opening sector at Zandvoort. I'm very conservative into T3, and that's going to give Daniel Penellis a chance around the outside. There's a little bit of contact. That's going to leave me open to the threat of Ivan Rodriguez as well. And no sooner had we gone up into the lead of this race, and I'm back down into P3. We've actually lost a position off the start. Well, it was short and sweet, an unusual experience to lead a race, and now on this tight and twisty and high speed Zandvoort circuit, I have got my work cut out for me to try and get back up into that leading position. I do feel like I've got good pace here, and you can see I'm already closing in on the rear wing of Rodriguez here, but it's extremely difficult to execute a clean overtake on this track. So any chance that comes up, I'm going to have to be ready to take it here, as we're already coming round to the end of the first lap here. And look at that off. Up ahead, Rodriguez makes a mistake, gets out onto the curb, maybe even dips his tyre into the sand, and we're back up into P2 then. Now at the moment in the cockpit, I am cursing the fact that I've given up the lead, and I'm pushing very hard, too hard, into turn one. I've locked up. And this race has been probably the scruffiest and the scrappiest that I've ran, certainly in the opening sections, all season, just at the time when I've got the pace to really challenge. So we're back down into P5. Somehow Rodriguez, still behind us, is now ahead of us again. He must have had an incident at T1 as well, so I've dropped down to P6. This is really not the race that I had planned from P2. Look up ahead, and you've got Velasquez off to the left-hand side. He's rejoining, so we'll be up into P5. It is hectic, it is frantic, it is intense here at Zandvoort in the Super Formula, and somehow we're still running. I've only got 1x. I don't think I'm carrying any damage, so the race is still there to play for. But surely now our chances of a race win have gone. It's going to be about trying to get back up onto the podium, I think, at least for now, as again into the heavy braking zone towards the end of the lap, just try and coax the car through the left-hander there and get on the gas as early as possible and try once again to get back ahead of Ivan Rodriguez. I've made life very difficult for myself here, no doubt about that. I've got to try and get back into a rhythm and start setting some competitive lap times. I'm going to try and feint to the inside here just to put the pressure on Rodriguez. I can't afford to hang about here. Rodriguez, feeling that pressure, has stacked it into the barrier. So we are now up into P4. Let's take the opportunity to look back at the start. Shillings on the right hand side there, starting on pole position, just lights up the rear tyres, plows straight into the barrier. But then it was my turn to make a mistake at the beginning of the next lap, and there you can see Rodriguez getting in hot too. We're both in synchronicity there, heading off into the gravel trap. I take advantage of the escape road, I'm able to rejoin, and then in the end we did get past Rodriguez properly on the next lap. But we rejoin on lap 5, and I'm trying to close the gap to Jakob Risk. It was up around 2 seconds. We've taken about half a second out of him over the last few laps. We're running reasonably similar paces, but I feel like I'm getting into my groove here. I'm getting towards the sorts of times I set in qualifying, and that was a high 1 minute 17, but I actually think I can go faster. I'm aiming for a low 1:17s. That, I think, is going to be the pace required to get anywhere near Risk and challenge for the podium. We're on to lap 8 then, and you can see the gap hasn't come down all that much, but my pace is consistently now getting quicker. we're gaining huge slugs of time on our previous best there, and you can see there just as the car was twitching through the right-hander that I'm beginning to extract the maximum pace that I can from it while still maintaining my composure and not getting too loose in order to risk losing the car. We're using our boost here then to just try and close up further on the rear of the driver up ahead and try and maximise our lap time out onto the start-finish straight. Probably the best chance of making a move cleanly here is into T1. So that's what I'm going to have to try and line up over the remaining laps in this race. We're crossing the start-finish line here then. What's our lap time going to be? I think we've just set the fastest lap of the race. Yes, we've gone purple. So we are now setting the pace in this race. What a shame that we had such a scruffy opening to the race. But can I make the most of this pace and get up onto the podium? Well, on lap 10, we are squeezing right onto Risk's rear wing here. There's really going to be only a couple more chances to apply even more pressure here, because once you're into this high-speed snaking section of the lap, it really is single file, very difficult to execute a pass here. All you can do is try and keep the pressure on and hope a driver makes a mistake up ahead. Now Risk missed the apex there through the right-hander big time, and we've closed right in then into this slightly slower section. Really difficult corners here to just keep the car balanced. You can see again I've got a tighter apex there. I'm going to be very much on his rear wing as we exit the corner there. It's going to be very, very tight to make a move down into the chicane. I do shape just to make sure that I'm there in his rear view mirror, hopefully to try and force a mistake. He holds his composure, but I am quicker through that section of the track. I'm going to use a bit more of my boost here to apply even more pressure as we come through the right-hander. Oh, he got out very wide there. He was able to keep it on track and actually get a good exit, but he is pushing the limits himself here as we cross the start-finish line to start what will be the penultimate lap of this race. We're on to lap 11 again. We close up in the braking zone. I've just got the message from the spotter there. There's going to be a car exiting the pits. We both get through cleanly. Look at how close we're following now. That gap was 2 seconds at the early stages of the race. It's now just a few tenths of a second. I'm still struggling though through T3 there as we're really just learning how to get this Super Formula car through some of these banked corners at Zandvoort. It's definitely my weakest section of the track, but the race comes towards me through the rest of the lap as I'm clearly carrying more speed than Risk through some of these corners, and again we close in through this section of the track. It's going to be absolutely critical that I'm able to stay close behind here for the final bit of the lap and get into a slipstream into T1 on the final lap of this race. I think that's going to be my only chance here, and you can see we are again just shaping to the inside, just looking to put him off, trying to use any psychological advantage that I can, and again Risk slightly loose coming out of the corner there. We're going to come through the very fast final set of corners here, and he's gone wide. Oh, and a massive moment as it looked as if he was going to squeeze me off onto the grass verge. I kept my foot in and we were able to make the pass. Wow, that was at least 8 laps in the making, and eventually Risk cracked there. I was able to get down his inside and make the move stick in the cockpit. It really felt like he was coming across the track, but to be fair to him, as soon as he realises that I'm down his inside, he peels off to the left hand side. But the drama was not over. We're on to the final lap here, and is that another car up ahead? Yes it is, but it's not P2, it's a back marker, and it's a back marker who's lost his rear wing, and he almost parks it through the very high speed right-hander. Thankfully we don't come into contact with him, and I don't lose too much time to Risk behind, although he is still just a couple of tenths behind. That has cost me any advantage I'd been able to eke out in the first half of this final lap, and it's put me under pressure for the closing of this race. I've got plenty of boost left to use here. I should be secure in P3 as long as I don't make any mistakes through this final couple of corners. Just got to hold my nerve, and we'll have salvaged a podium out of a race which in the early stages I did my very best to throw away. And it's such a shame because I will cross the start finish line here in P3 with the quickest lap of the race, and I can't help but feel what might have been had I not made those mistakes in the early part of the race. But nevertheless, what a great session that was. A boost to my safety rating, a boost to my iRating, and well, just an exhilarating lap here in the Super Formula at Zandvoort. It's like riding an extremely dangerous roller coaster while racing 20 other drivers. Incredible stuff, and we come away from it with a podium. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, get subscribed for more, and I will see you on the next one.